is good, my anime faithful? What is good, you? So I had to get Team Punchy Punchy for this episode's episode for this episode of Cheat Magician. I'm pretty sure people know why I picked Punchy Punchy Team, but if you don't, it looks like we are getting into a very um how do I want to put this? This episode definitely had the most uh like overall good pacing, story progression, character progression, all that type of stuff was actually executed pretty well this week, and I'm happy about that. But the other thing that was relatively new or actually like worth looking at was the fact that they actually brought in some villains and they brought in some, you know, interesting plot to actually be thinking about in the future or where it can go after seeing it now. So, with that, we know that there were assassins that looks like they're probably the ones just taking care of anyone that gets in the way after, like for instance, if you were to go against anything that they're trying to do at this point. These assassins are the ones that come in and clean up that job when everybody else kind of just, actually follows the rules, follows orders and stuff like that. I am so dead. Um, but with all that being said, we're probably going to be getting quite a bit of this little arc, or it's going to end with the next week's episode because the whole thing with the deductory this week was once our main guy shook hands with one of the villagers, he got this really eerie feeling about him, and that was like a very easy way of just saying like, oh, I think this guy right here is the one who has something to do with knowing like he's like a bug or something. He's like someone that is with the bad people, giving them information about when the harvest is done and stuff like that, seemingly. So if they have someone on the inside that can literally tell you everything, not to mention if if they sent out these adventurers that are supposed to be strong, you now know how strong they are by gauging them with these orcs, and not only gauging them, you actually had someone who was there to witness the whole entire battle, so you have a really good idea of what's actually to come, and that was a really smart idea on their part so far. And I think that's what this show was kind of lacking was any type of intelligence that was going on with like outside characters or just like any characters in general. There just wasn't much of anything going on. And this episode actually gives us something going on. So not only do three assassins attack after our characters are hired to try to figure out where this missing goods are going, but when they get to the town of the slums, everybody in the town's just saying that it's a monster killing them, that it's someone, like they go out, they get attacked by monsters, their goods are gone. And for some reason, no one has, oh wow, all my, no one has like caught these people doing it in the act, and that's pretty much what they want to know overall. So to hear all that, we are only, getting inklings of what's actually going on because it seems like with the assassins showing up and being, how they are with these bar people who supposedly are the ones that also were in on it, like at least trying to help to get some of this stuff themselves out of the wagons. They said that as soon as they show up to the wagons, they're already like clean, like straight cleaned out. So wow, they just keep spamming their moves. All right. But with that being said, it's pretty interesting overall, like what they can actually do with this show because last time I checked, there wasn't really much that they were actually trying to offer us. There wasn't really much that they were trying to set up, and I think that was the only real problem with the first two episodes. There was no setup. There was no like anything ridiculously hyped that could happen besides the characters going on their first adventure, which they don't even show us because their first adventures are literally in a montage of them picking up scraps off the ground, cleaning up stuff and searching for little foods and items and stuff like that because they're the lowest ranked adventurers. But because of this investigation and trying to figure out where all these stolen goods are, it throws them up a huge notch to pretty much getting the case of, hey, now you get to see um, what there is out there. Like as an adventurer at this level, you can only imagine why they had failed. Some of these people have already failed this quest twice, and you can see why now. Like these assassins are pretty strong. I mean, they weren't strong enough to even touch our characters, but that's because these guys are on a whole nother level just to begin with. And then not to mention the fact that everybody who kind of is in their way is probably has something to do with the overall like stealing and stuff like that. So it's getting really interesting in the regards of like it felt like there wasn't really much to see in this show. Now it's like, oh, okay, there's some stuff that could possibly pop off. That's good. The real thing that really got me interested though was to see what this girl is going to end up doing with all this blood or like this energy she absorbed from all these bodies in the forest. Not to mention she has like a cape of invisibility, so she practically can just Harry Potter her way out of this situation and like disappear. So that's pretty crazy that she has like a cloak that can turn her invisible. So that also is going to probably play some type of role in the future of her fight, right? Or you would think anyway. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're gonna do with that character, or if it's just gonna be something that they're just like, oh, she's there. She looked like she was gonna be strong, but she's not really that strong. I'm not really sure if that's the route they're going or what, but I can't really wait to see what the show can actually give me as like something hype. Like I want to see something blow my mind from this show, not just the same old stuff over and over. So hopefully this episode is enough to get some people interested in the show, but to be fair, I think next week is the real episode to do that because not only is our character, our main guy, not even the main girl, our main guy is holding back every single fight we have seen him so far, and not only is he holding back and not using 100% power ever, he still hasn't met his fairy, which is supposed to be the thing that actually puts him above and beyond everybody else and get to that national, like, destroying castles and stuff type of level. But with how we're seeing things now, he doesn't even need it. Like, he's ridiculously powerful as is. And that's kind of the whole point of why the show felt like it wasn't going anywhere because they weren't doing anything. Like they're like, oh yeah, he is very powerful, but then they didn't do anything with it. But to see him use like 10% and then go up to 30, 35%, it goes to show you how much control he already has of his power and how much difference a 10% to a 30% boost really is. And my God, like a 10% hit someone so hard they went flying almost into like a wall and breaking the wall. Not well, they didn't even like damage the wall, but hitting it so hard with the force on your back definitely would hurt. But then you go to uh, 35%, and this man punched this ogre so hard in the face, his eyeballs and nose started shooting out purple blood. Okay, so if he would have did that to the girl, she would have absolutely probably just like gone through 2 or 3 buildings. So that's a good sign of things to come with the show. But I mean, other than that, there's not really much more to go off of in the case of it being awesome and having a lot of things showing up and popping off. Um, but with that being said, it does feel like they can introduce some stuff that should be fun. And my only problem with all of this and why I say people are dropping it, or um, I've noticed the people that dropped it excuse me, and I think they dropped it for good reason, is mainly because this whole season is only 12 episodes, and with it only being 12 episodes, and let's say that we get to episode 10 and something finally pops off and it's like, wow, this is getting hot. Then episode 11 comes around, it gets pretty much taken care of, and then episode 12 is them just relaxing and kicking off their shoes afterwards. So that's my problem with the shows when they're 12 episodes. Either they're going to rush the ending, or if they're smart, they're going to give us an ending that leads into more beginnings in the rest of the show with another season. Always, I think if you have the source material, always leave it open to going further. You don't have to go further. The show might not even do good enough to go further. Just give the audience that with how much is out. If you can't say for certain the show is going to continue, then don't do it. But if you can look and see that there's a whole happen, then you might as well. I'm gonna just pick random. And that's kind of my rant. Like that's just how I feel about overall the way that this thing is going. But with all that being said, I got one more video to make, so I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, evening, whatever the case may be. I am your boy, the Anime G, and I definitely will be dropping another video like I just had. So if you do want to see more content from me, you already know what you gotta do. This is YouTube. I ain't gotta tell y'all. Not to mention, I just can't wait to see the people that are my, um, the people that always show up. You guys are the real ones that I make these videos for, and I hope that we get new fans that are like you guys, or not even fans, just anime people that enjoy what we enjoy. So with all that being said, have an awesome one, guys, and I will talk to you later. Peace.